Hi, this is 08, Rhino to Unity, export, and here I will show you how to load your 3D models from Rhino to Unity. Um, you have to keep in mind a few important things. Um, if you just simply want to use your 3D objects in the editor mode, you can export very complex stuff and a lot of objects like this whole tower. Um, or let's say it in another way, if you don't want to interact directly, if you don't want to grab them in the game mode, then you can simply export all of that stuff. We can export everything at once. But if you want to export something and use it in the game mode, then you just can do this with a single object, as the object has to be on 0.000. Maybe somebody of you can fix this problem, as you have to do it like with this object now. You see in the top view, it's more or less in the middle of this construction plane, and on the front as well. Here it's in the middle. So now this object is ready to export. Another thing you have to keep in mind that is that we have here, you see the same objects, but this is a closed polysurface. But this is a group now. And if we ungroup this, then we have single objects. And you have to set it up like this if you want to attach this object with colliders. And that's because the collider have to be marked as convex in Unity. But this is something I will explain to you later on in Unity. So just make sure that your objects are arranged like this, and especially if you go here to layers, you see that this is now, let me just turn this here. This object is on the layer parts, and parts is select objects, is a sublayer of this layer. And just make sure that you do it in that way, because then you can just simply attach the component to this layer and it will affect all of those objects. So the layer structure you have here will be the same in Unity. So once this is done, as well, make sure that every surface is pointing outwards. You can check this by typing in direction . Oh, sorry. I just type in deer. And you see it's pointing outwards, and that's fine. So if we flip everything, then you won't be able to, sorry, direction. Yeah, if you explode this surface and then type in deer, you see it's in the right direction. and we can flip it, but if we flip it in this way, you won't be able to see it because Unity is just recognizing the side where the direction is pointing from away. So make sure that it's in this way, and then it's all fine. So now we can just mark this object and go to File, Export Selected, and here you just go on D, Unity Projects, Fellowship Workshop, and then of course if you want to use it in the editor mode, load in the model and place it somewhere in the space, you go into here, Assets, 3D Import Models, and just save it here. But for now we want to save it in this game mode folder. So you go into game mode, Assets, 3D Import Models, and then we just name it Test01, and here you go to Motion Builder FBX. Before I do this, let me just tell you one thing about the materials. Unity also will recognize the material, which makes it easier for you then to work with the object. So you just, when you have an object, you go to this material. Wait, it's now select objects. No. Which one is it? Okay, so those objects, they are attached with this material. And this is a basic Rhino material, but this material will show up in Unity. So it's good when you have different materials in here. When I go to, with a right click here, and you go to Objects Material Sun, you will see a preview of the material color. So go back to Shaded, and then again File, Export Selected, and we are already here. Go to Motion Builder FBX 01, Test, Save. Okay, okay. And you don't have to import anything in Unity. Unity will automatically update. So this is the same asset folder like in the Explorer. And here you go to 3D Import Models. And here's our 01 Test FBX. When you go now to Inspector, we have this little preview here. It's showing up the model. And in the material folder, there should be now somewhere a copy of this material. And it will have the same name that it has in Rhino. So we go back here, 01 Test, and then before you import this to your scene by drag and drop into this hierarchy window, you click on Generate Colliders and Generate Light Map UVs, and then click on Apply. And now you just drag and drop. And if you have no idea where it is, go to Transform Position 000. Okay, that should be fine. You can now move it with this kind of gumball and place it somewhere. And now it's already attached parts. So every part is attached now with this collider. You just need to hit them all and click on convex. And as this is now in a subgroup, we can add components like rigid body directly to this layer here, and it will affect everything in it here. And actually you need to do this in this layer, because then the objects will stick together. So as well you need to add here the components interactable objects and all the other stuff you've seen in this tutorial videos here. So once this is done, you can click play and use the object. When I go back here to scene, you see already it fell down. So rigid body is already working. And if we want to export scenes to Unity more complicated, you can't actually interact with them in a way that you move, in a way that you grab those guys, because we cannot grab them. They just have colliders. They will interact if you grab this sphere and throw it onto this, then they will interact, but you cannot actually grab the object itself. But if you want to export this, you can just mark everything and then export it as we did it before. But just make sure that your object is splitted into this single parts, because otherwise the mesh collider will give you a few problems. So if you export something like this, this will be already a problem. Now it's fine, but if you look into Unity now, we click on this object and you see this green line. The green line is just trying to close the collider in a way, so there is no object can fall through this, because this is now all a collider. If we turn off convex, then the collider will be exactly the same like the 3D model, but we have to turn on, unfortunately, convex. And the only way I found now to solve the problem is to split the objects into little parts so that the mesh collider can work properly.